Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Councilman Watts, if you would come join me down front, please, sir.
What do you do?
You know, we're constantly giving away recognitions and awards of achievement and special acknowledgement to many organizations here in our community. And, you know, it just goes to show that we have citizens here in this community that believe in this community and think it's a wonderful city to live in. And they're proud of our community. And they strive every day and give their time unselfishly to make this a better community each and every day for all of us to live in. And tonight I want to give away a special acknowledgement and recognition to a couple of people that are responsible for this. There are more than two, but there's several people, but two special people that are responsible for this. And one is Councilman Watts. And the reason I'm asking him to come down tonight is because it was Councilman Watts' idea that first brought this to the City Council to look into this situation and see if it wouldn't be something that we could do on a staff level that we could help to keep our citizens so informed. So we looked at it back at the retreat, and we did implement this, and because of this, I want to tell you a little bit about it. The Comptroller Leadership Circle rewards city transparency. The Office of the State Comptroller has established the Comptroller Leadership Circle Award program to recognize the efforts of Texas cities that have strived for online fiscal transparency. The program gives out gold, silver, and bronze level awards to local governments based on a scoring system that gives points to cities that place specific financial documents on their city websites for public consumption. In order to receive the gold certificate, cities must make available to their city website their city budgets, financial reports, and check registers. Points are also awarded based upon the ease with which a user can access these documents. As of June 2010, the Comptroller had awarded gold certificates to 32 cities, silver certificates to 18 cities, and bronze certificates to 13 cities. Cities that are welcomed into the Leadership Circle receive a digital seal reflecting the level of the award that can be published on the city's website. For more information on the Comptroller Leadership Program, including access to the application, please visit the Comptroller's website. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Councilman Watts, and I'm going to ask Jason to come up, please, sir. I know you're a little surprised about this, but we're going to ask Jason to come up. And Councilman, I'm going to let you present this award because we appreciate your effort and your forethought and vision in doing this. Thank you very much, sir.
Sure. And let me say, when I brought this up, and we talked about it at the council retreat, my just personal back of my head goal was to maybe have this up by the end of this year. And the staff had it up within a couple of months. And I was pleasantly shocked and surprised at how quickly that it moved. And so I'm going to go ahead and read this and present it to people who really deserve the credit for it, and folks who actually made it happen. This Gold Award recognizes the City of Louisville for setting the bar for financial transparency and opening your books to the public. The Texas Comptroller's Leadership Circle program recognizes local governments across Texas that are striving to meet a high standard for financial transparency online. By providing citizens with a clear, consistent picture of spending and sharing information in a user-friendly format, you're setting a strong example for other governmental entities to follow. Signed June 28, 2010, by Susan Combs, Texas Comptroller of Public Accounts. Thank you very much for your work.
Once again, it's just another thing that shows the evidence of how well this city, staff, and citizens work together to continually improve our city, and the recognition that we get on a continual basis from other cities and governments around the country, and we appreciate it. We thank you both for your efforts. Thank you. Next Next item is item number D, public hearing, consideration of a resolution authorizing the adoption of the Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, 2010 Annual Action Plan, and authorization for the city manager to submit the plan to the U.S. Department in Housing of Urban Renewal. An annual action plan must be adopted by the City of Louisville and submitted to the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, as a requirement to receive Community Development Block Grant funds of $635,106 in fiscal year 2010-2011. The plan has been developed following priorities set by the 2007 Consolidated Plan and the 2005 Needs Assessment Plan. The CDBG Advisory Committee reviewed applications submitted by nonprofit agencies and city departments for projects that address HUD national objectives as well as local priority needs. The committee recommendations were presented to Council on June 21, 2010, and were approved by unanimous vote for and support of the plan. The plan was made available for a 30-day public comment period and is now ready for a public hearing before consideration. The annual action plan must be submitted to HUD by August 15, 2010. The CDBG Advisory Committee recommended adoption of the plan at its June 15, 2010 meeting by a vote of 5-0. Recommendation of staff is that Council approve the resolution related items as set forth in the caption above. Councilman Thornhill?
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Have a motion by Councilman Thornhill to close the public hearing, a second by Councilman Watts. Hold on, before we do, I beg your pardon. Just hand me cards here. Before we close the public hearing, I have a couple of cards. Speaker Rita Williams.
Thank you, Mayor Ugert, Council, for giving me a few moments of your time. My name is Rita Williams. I live at 131 Milton Street, Louisville, 75057. I bought my home on Milton Street near Maine 15 years ago in a nice, kept-up neighborhood for the times. After a few years of neglect, I formed the DeLay Old Town Neighborhood Committee and worked closely with Jamie Kirby to improve the immediate neighborhood with the help of the CDBG Action Committee for grants to coincide with city funding. Through the years of working on this project before I retired, we were able to establish that it was designated as a target neighborhood, sewers were in need of replacement, and problem streets needed fixed in order to deal with the added parking, added foot traffic, as well as the water runoff problems to the existing homes. It was also established that the neighborhood qualified for the grants. A small portion of the sewers have been replaced because they were leaking, and a small portion of the streets only resurfaced, and the Milton Street project has been delayed for the second time, to the disappointment of most of the homeowners in the area. And mind you, this is a main street that is driven by most to get home or to the other side of Louisville. And I, for one, would like to know why the decision to spend money was denied to this project, and yet $150,000 of money was given for the sale of 13 private homes known as the First Time Home Buyers Program. And I can assure you those new homeowners are not buying homes in Old Town. Why would they? And there is another $185,000 for 5 private homes for the Housing Rehabilitation Program. These are not loans, but free dollars for private homes. More and more of the homes are turning into what we in the neighborhood call I don't care rentals in an I don't care neighborhood. I may have a few more years of fight left in me to work on improving my neighborhood, but the bottom line is this. I feel it is sad and unfair that I, as well as others, are being forced to eventually make a decision of having to sell out and move or create another I don't care rental in the area. And it's no longer the neighborhood I bought into or have the desire to live in. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, ma'am. I also have another card to you. He does not wish to speak, but he is in support of the agenda item. The public hearing item is T.J. Gilmore is in support. Okay, we had a motion. I don't have any other cards. We do have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Councilman Thornhill?
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I'd like to thank the CDBG committee and all the work that they've done on this. I know there's a lot of tough decisions that come before that committee. It's not easy to make those decisions. I also understand it's had a 30-day comment period and for which no public comments were made or received to staff as of date. The committee voted 5-0 to recommend the approval. And with that, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve by Councilman Thornhill and a second by Councilman Watts. Before we take a vote on that, I want to ask the city manager or city head some clarification on some of the issues that Ms. Williams brought up.
Yeah, just to make sure that everyone's on the same page. I'm not sure exactly, maybe she could clarify perhaps what her concern was, but I interpreted the concern as being that the Milton project was not going forward, and it is. It's just going forward in a different form. When we originally conceived that project, we were looking at doing a full-blown curb and gutter drainage improvements type of project. Currently, of course, it's just a small asphalt road with bar ditches. And when the engineers took a look at that, they found some significant technical problems with actually creating a curb and gutter environment within the drainage system that is there today. Some of those problems would involve potential damages or difficulties to the homeowners themselves because of the variations in grade between where the street would need to be and where their houses are. So they felt like the best approach was to go with the first year funding for the project, which was in 2009, and do the overlay, which would bring it up to reasonably good conditions, albeit still with the bar ditch drainage, but that portion of the project will be going forward and constructed as soon as specifications and plans can be developed in the project bid.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for answering the questions. Like I said, we had a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I just want to let the citizens know I'm going to be voting against this project. There's three parts to it, and I'm just really, I have a problem with the first part. The other part's not so much. So I asked in the workshop meeting, I asked the council to, maybe we should have a little more direction about funding. It's all the agencies that this city helps and funds that, and I appreciate the CDBG board very much and all the work they do. They're all great, top-notch organizations. But that's not my problem with it. My problem is with the first part. We have a lot of money going to $150,000 going to the first-time home buyers program. Now, understand what I'm trying to say is that if the CDBG, that's the Community Development Block Grant Program, it's a flexible program that provides communities with resources to address a wide range of unique community development needs. If we don't spend that money on projects like infrastructure, like the Milton Street project or whatever, or we use another project with tax dollars, if we don't use that money on the tax dollar projects, then we're using tax dollars on it. So it is tax money. We got $635,000 plus from HUD. We had $134,000 left over from last year, which is going to one of our projects, which gives us a total of $769,000 of CDBG money. Now, we do have some limits on what we can spend it on. We can spend 100% of it on infrastructure. we have a limit or a cap of 15% for public service activities. And we're also pulling another $170,000 out of our general fund, which was called Social Services Fund last month, which is tax dollars basically, for social services. Again, not complaining about the social services. They're all top-notch, A-quality companies. Make that clear that. But the $150,000 is going to go to the sale of 13 homes. That's private homes. That's tax dollars going to a private transaction. That's what I have a problem with. The second part of that is another $185,000 that's going to the rehabilitation, which is basically fixing up, remodeling, whatever you want to call it, to 5 homes. So that's $335,000 of tax dollars that we could be spending on streets, curbs, what we need to do in the areas that we're required to use that money in, which is supposed to be low to moderate income. Now, it was Friday or Thursday night that I received the action plan and the 54 pages of this. So, yes, I know that a month ago I voted for the draft. But I knew we were going to get some more material, and tonight we're going to vote again. So now you know why I'm voting against it. I'll probably be the only one that's okay. That doesn't matter. It's just that I have a principle about tax dollars going to private transactions. If I drive an old car and I can't afford the tires on it, am I going to get a subsidy to pay for new tires? Now, don't get me wrong. I don't want people losing their houses. I feel bad about it. But we have a lot of renters in this town, and I think that if we fix the streets and the curbs and make the neighborhood nicer, we'll have people that want to invest in those houses and fix them up and make them better. That's my opinion, and I think that's the way it should go. Again, great organizations. I commend the CDBG committee for all the hard stuff. I mean, they defunded two programs, the Boys Club and the Nightlight Charities. I bet that was tough because they'd been getting tax dollars before. It's a tough committee to be on, and it takes some very good people. I recommend all of them. They're very good work, and I commend you for it. But as I said, this is the part I have problems on, which is at $335,000. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
This money comes from HUD, correct? These are
The CDBG money.
right. The CDBG money is grants from HUD. So those are federal tax dollars. So some of those federal taxes are being paid by Louisville taxpayers. Nobody believes in reducing the size, scope, and relevancy of the federal government in your day-to-day life more than I do, I assure you. That being said, if HUD is spending our money and we have a chance to invest some of it in our community, then I'm in favor of doing so. And as far as the federal government being involved in a private transaction, unless you bought your house with cash somewhere in the last 30 years, then the federal government has been involved in your own private transaction, whether it's through FHA or the VA or Fannie or Freddie, or if you keep a bank account somewhere that's backed up by the FDIC. Again, the size and scope of the federal government and how pervasive it is irritates me more than as much or more than the next guy. That said, and I agree with John, these are great organizations and they're doing great work. And this is where I would prefer to see tax dollars go to a nonprofit or a private organization that's dealing with the social need, as opposed to creating a federal agency to deal with it or keeping all this money within a federal bureaucracy. Here's where it's going to be spent more wisely, more efficiently, and put to better use in somewhat of a public-private partnership. And so for those reasons, I voted for it the first time, and I'll be voting for it again this time.
Any further discussion? We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries. Did you get that, Julie? Everyone? Thank you. Item E is visitor citizens forum. At this time, any person with business before the council not scheduled on the agenda may speak to the council. No formal action can be taken on these items at this meeting. I do not have any cards filled out for that. So next item is consent agenda. All the following items on the consent agenda are considered to be self-explanatory by the council and will be enacted with one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or a citizen so requests. For a citizen to request removal of an item, a speaker card must be filled out and submitted to the city secretary. I do not have any cards on this one either, and no one asked for anything to do. Councilman Watts?
Move to approve the consent agenda.
I have a motion by Councilman Watts to approve, a second by Councilman Durham. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item G2 is a regular hearing. Is consideration of a variance to the Louisville City Code, Section 107, temporary structures and uses regarding 2 temporary buildings for shower and locker rooms to be used at the Louisville High School South Campus located at 1250 West FM 3040 as requested by Von Bucher of G&A Consultants representing the Louisville Independent School District. The Louisville Independent School District desires to locate 2 temporary shower and locker rooms for the tennis courts at the new High School South. The City of Louisville building codes does not allow portable or temporary buildings other than classrooms to be placed in the city or LISD property. LISD wishes to use the tennis courts prior to the school opening. The buildings are self-contained, climate-controlled buildings and will be removed once the building is completed by June 1, 2011. Recommendation is staff is that we approve the requested variances set forth in the caption. We do have several cards here. First, I'd like to ask Larry Williams, representative with LISD, if you would come forward, sir. I take, were you wanting to speak, Larry, or did you just?
Only if necessary.
Only if necessary. Okay, I'm sorry. All right, so I have a card from him. He'll be here to answer any questions if necessary. Also have a card from Michael Perry, also available for questions. I take it you're also with the school board, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then I have a card from Missy Elias, if you'd like to speak. Where's, there she is. If you would, Missy, just give your name and address for the record, please.
Missy Elias. I live at 2054 Briarcliff Road in Louisville, Texas. I come tonight to discuss not necessarily the specific variances that the Louisville Independent School District will present tonight, because these variances are for aesthetic purposes to our schools. And although I believe these variances should be denied, my real concern for the students that live in the city of Louisville is not about the trees that will surround the school, but about the education they will receive inside the school walls. I have heard that the Louisville City Council and the Louisville Independent School District are 2 separate entities. However, I believe that as our city leaders, it is imperative that you keep abreast of the quality of education that the Louisville community is receiving for our children. 5 years ago, an LISD hand-selected task force that did not include anyone from the Louisville City got together and researched the inner-city schools of Chicago, Los Angeles, and Detroit, and compared these schools to Louisville High School. And through the recent election held 2 months ago, the school board incumbents talked about the economically disadvantaged children of Louisville and the poverty level of the students in the Louisville schools. LISD is taking our Louisville schools down an unwarranted path, and the citizens as well as our city leaders should not stand for this. I ask you tonight for several things: to make sure that the highest standards and quality of the Louisville schools be achieved by LISD so that Louisville children can be proud of the schools they attend and the education they receive. Secondly, that the City of Louisville adopt a committee or liaison that studies the trends and statistics of the Louisville schools through LISD and reports this information back to the city. These variances are aesthetic purposes. I, for one, do not believe that the Louisville High School main campus, which is the heartbeat of our community, should be built as smaller capacity, and that our children be spread out throughout our city into 3 separate buildings for our high school. So this variance to move our tennis courts to the south campus, I still believe that that south campus should not be opened up as a Louisville high school in any capacity. So I just wanted to present that to you and hope that you deny the variances. And as regarding the trees and the wall structure, I believe that we should uphold that to the highest standards. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I have Tamala Bowie.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Tamala Bowie, and I reside at 1636 Niagara Boulevard. I'm not here tonight to rain on the parade of LISD. My major concern is just the ordinances that you guys take the time to put into place to protect the citizens and the businesses here in Louisville. I mean, the ordinances are all also put in place to protect, retain, and enhance our beauty of our city. And I just think if you take the time to put an ordinance in place, why take the time to give variances? I just don't want our city to be viewed as a pushover city, where people can just come in and ask for variances for this and variances for that. I think we just need to make every business and every organization and every entity comply with our ordinances. I just don't think that it's right that we should have to look at temporary buildings and temporary showers and lockers. If the ordinance states that we cannot have temporary buildings, then that's what needs to happen. I think if they just prepare their, whatever they do to come up with these things, if they just prepare ahead of time, they won't need, or for that matter, any business or organization with the proper preparation, you come forth and you can get your business handled the way that it should be handled. So I guess I'm more so here just asking that we just adhere to our ordinances. I mean, everybody here knows how involved I am in the community and how much I love living in Louisville, and I just want us to get a reputation of being a city that cares about our residents, cares about our businesses, care about how our city looks. And I just think we just need to tell people, this is it. This is how it's going to be. That's the reason why you guys take the time to put ordinances in place. Am I correct? And I just think that people need to start complying with them. Thank you. Have a blessed evening.
Thank you. That's the only cards I have filled out. I would like to say that I am proud that we voters turned out this past May and elected 2 of our Louisville citizens to the school board now. So now we have 2 of our Louisville citizens that are represented on the school board, so I'm glad to see that. And I thank the voters for doing that. Councilman Watts? Oh, excuse me, it's Councilman Guerrero. I'm sorry.
About this ordinance, the variance is for temporary building for 1 year. I know that it's aesthetic, and I agree with all your comments, Ms. Bowie. I do. I really do. And it's a tough decision when you go against an ordinance that's been approved for the better of the community. But I'll be voting for the variance because it's 1 year and the building will be gone in 1 year. So other than that, if it's 10 years, I'm with you. I understand. Does anybody else have any comments? If not, I will move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve by Councilman Guerrero, a second by Councilman Durham. Is there any other comments?
Yeah, I just had a question for, I guess, maybe it was LISD people. If you wouldn't mind coming forward.
Get one of you come forward, please.
I'm just trying to understand the situation. We got a tennis court, whatever, at the main school now, and does it have showers and locker room facilities existing today?
Yes, I'd be happy to address that, Mayor and Council. Larry Williams with the school district. We have existing tennis courts at the LHS main campus at the high school campus. It does not have a separate building designated for tennis use, such as we're trying to do out here. To start the rebuild of the existing LHS campus means that the existing tennis courts at that location go away this fall.
The current tennis court?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We are endeavoring to build new tennis courts and open those up simultaneous at the 910 campus so the students don't lose anything in their ability to practice and prepare. We're just trying to get showers and a locker room facility at those tennis courts until the completion of the entire school in June of 2011.
Is there a reason why the tennis courts are going away? Why wouldn't you have tennis courts at a high school?
The rebuild of the existing campus, the new building takes place of the tennis courts.
I just know a lot of my college buddies came to college on a tennis scholarship that they got in high school. So we're not going to have a tennis court in our high school?
No, sir. All the tennis program will be moved to the campus at 3040. We believe we'll have a much more enhanced tennis facility for the students of high school.
Could you explain that a little bit, please? About two schools? You're basically doing away with the tennis courts you have now, if I understand?
Yes, sir.
And those are older tennis courts. I know they've been refurbed here recently,
yes,
but a year or two ago, but you're doing away with those, but you're not doing away with the tennis program or tennis courts. You're going to move them to the other facilities, is that what you're saying?
That is correct.
Okay.
But that's just for 9th and 10th grade, is it not? Is that the way I understand it?
Well, the campus is designated now by the school district at 910 campus, but all of the tennis program will be located at that site.
So if you're a junior or senior and you're in tennis, you just go to that campus to
That's right.
take tennis.
And it will be a much more enhanced facility than what they have now.
So our junior and seniors have the opportunity to get scholarships?
Sure. Sure they would.
Okay.
So you say they're going to be enhanced. How are they going to be enhanced?
They're nicer courts. They're more modern. I'm not sure I can give you the technical point, Mayor. They're just.
What about number-wise? Are they going to? I'm sure they're going to be updated, more modern.
We have more. Perhaps I can get Michael Perry, our director of construction, to answer the technical.
I think that's going to address the.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, members of council. 12 courts with bleachers, fully lit, fully screened. Very nice courts, to answer your question.
And you have currently how many?
4.
You have 4, and then you share 4 with the city, if that's correct. But you're going to have
12 courts.
12 new courts at the
Yes,
new
sir.
facility that are lighted with bleachers and everything. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And those will be available for all the high schools, all the 3 Louisville high schools?
For all of Louisville High School, yes, sir, grades 9 through 12 at that campus.
Okay.
So then you'll have to bus them then from the high school to
Yes, sir. Similar to what we do with our softball program, which goes to our north campus.
That's all I have for
Anything else?
Let me just one comment, just so that everybody's clear. Whether we vote to approve or deny the variance about temporary buildings, it's not going to impact LISD's decision to move the tennis courts to 3040 from Main Street one iota. If you're upset about that decision, the venue is the school board. And like the mayor mentioned earlier, the voters made their voice pretty clear in this last election and put 2 people from Louisville on the school board. One of them sitting right back there. You can talk to her tonight. This is about construction that's ongoing. It's going to happen whether we up here like it or not. This is about a temporary facility for the kids to shower in until they're going all of whatever it is, 5 blocks down from Main down Valley to 3040 over to the new campus. That's all.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
That's 3-1. Motion carries. Got that, Julie? All right. Item 3 is consideration of 3 variances to the Louisville City Code, Chapter 6, Land Development Regulations for proposed development associated with Louisville High School located at 1098 West Main Street, as requested by Michael Glenn of Glenn Engineering, Inc., representing the owner. At the March 2, 2010 joint City Council LISD School Board meeting, City Council approved the deferral of the implementation of the engineering site plan that was approved on December 7, 2009 until the July 19, 2010 City Council meeting. The Louisville Independent School District is proposing to demolish the older existing portion of Louisville High School and construct a new 3-story building. An engineering site plan has been submitted for staff to review, which contains 3 variances that have been approved on a past site plan. The following 3 remaining variances for consideration are: A, to waive current landscape requirements in favor of an alternative landscaping plan; B, to waive the current screening wall requirements along certain portions of the property; and C, to allow a reduced number of required parking spaces for the stadium. Recommendation of staff is to approve the requested variances as set forth in the caption. Once again, I have the same 2 gentlemen, Michael Perry and Larry Williams. Are you here for questions if needed? Okay. And then also have Missy Elias would like to speak again, ma'am, or you just here in opposition? Okay, she's just here in opposition. And Tamla Bowie, or you want to speak again, or just here in opposition? In opposition, okay. Does Councilman Durham?
I'm in favor of this. If there's no comments or questions, move to approve.
We have a motion by Councilman Durham to approve.
Second, with a great big ditto on my comments from item 2 for item 3 as well.
We have a second by Councilman Watts. Any discussion?
Yes, sir. I'd just like to make a point. This is like a package deal, basically. The way I look at it is a package deal from December, was it the last time we approved this? Anyway, there was a small change to it. They're getting more parking spaces. So where we approved it last time for 1,117 parking spaces, they did some moving around in the new plan, so there's going to be 1,458 parking spaces. But that's on the 3rd variance there. The other 2 stay the same. Thank you. Just want to make sure the citizens knew what it was. Thank you.
Also, I will state that I did talk to the principal at LHS and several of the faculty over there, and one of the concerns that they had was in rebuilding the new facility, or rebuilding the existing facility into the new facility, that they were concerned that the cafeteria might have been shrunk or reduced in size, I should say. And their concern was that so many of their programs that they have, i.e., I'll just give you one, is Circle of Friends, is packed to capacity at their current cafeteria. And so I'd asked them, I had passed that concern along to Mr. Williams at the school district, and I'd asked him to please, when they were drafting up the plans, if you'd please make sure that there is no reduction in size to the cafeteria there, because that's where they do have so many of their awards and banquets and things held, so that it would not cramp them. And I'm proud to say that Mr. Williams assured me tonight that actually it was not reduced, and actually it's a few feet larger, not many, but it is actually a few feet larger. So I'm glad to hear that, and that they did take the concerns of the principal and the faculty there in consideration. So we do have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Go ahead.
What you have?
Just one point to make on one of the variances, but you can go ahead and vote.
All opposed? Motion carries. Yes, sir, City Council, City Manager, you had a...
I just wanted to, for the purposes of making people aware of the reasoning behind at least one of the variances on the screening wall, the reason that variance was supported by staff is because we have several underground utility lines that would be virtually underneath that screening wall. We've got storm sewer, sanitary sewer, water lines, et cetera. And were there to be a screening wall on top of that, it would be virtually impossible for us to maintain those lines in the event of a needed repair without significantly taking down a large portion of the screening wall and having to rebuild it at our expense. So that was the reason we felt like in that particular location that the screening wall really didn't make any sense for ongoing maintenance purposes for those city appurtenances.
Thank you, sir, for clarifying that. We're going to skip over item 4 for the moment. We'll come back to it. We're going to go to item 5. Item 5 is consideration of an ordinance amending ordinance number 2747-12-2001, eliminating term limits for TERS number 1 board members. The TERS number 1 board meets on an annual basis, and its members serve 2-year terms. Currently, the members can only serve a maximum of 3 consecutive 2-year terms. In order to promote continuity of leadership for the board and projects funded by the TERS number 1 that may outlast the current term limitation, the elimination of term limits for board members is recommended. The proposed ordinance removes term limitations for TERS number 1, which is in keeping with the board structure of the city's second TERS. A recommendation is council has approved the variances set forth in the above caption. City Manager, if you would expand on that a little bit, please, sir.
Well, again, the question arose with the inconsistency between the two boards, the TERS 2 being treated with no term limits, TERS 1 having term limits. You could probably go either way on that. But we felt like it was appropriate to be consistent whichever way you went between the two. In staff looking at the nature of the board itself and the type of things that they're doing, we felt like, plus the fact that there was already 3 consecutive 2-year terms as far as the term limits, if you want to call them that, are concerned, we felt like it was useful to use a no-term limit approach because of the long-term nature of the improvements themselves. In many cases, some of these projects are lasting for the entire lifetime of the TERS, which can be in excess of 20 years. And the continuity established, or that could be established within a no-term limit environment was perhaps advantageous. Having said that, the members of your board all serve at the will of the council, can be removed at any point in time without cause, and you always have the opportunity to reappoint people whenever you want. So, again, you can go either way on this, but we'd recommend certainly that you be consistent between the two operations.
Okay, thank you, sir. I do have a card filled out by Mr. Steve Hill. If you would give your name and address directly, please, sir.
Steve Hill, 964 Camden Drive, Louisville. I'm here to speak in opposition to the removal of term limits from the TIRZ number 1 board. Our system of government relies on the concept of checks on government power. We hold elections to ensure that our representatives are held accountable for their actions, hold true to their promises, and adhere to the will of the people. While it's not practical to elect members to every single board and committee, it's important that the terms of service on these boards be limited. Citizens from the community must be placed on these committees, with new members rotating in and out, always providing a new perspective and new ideas. As members stay on boards, seniority develops, and in my experience, the incumbent members are always recommended to remain in place. There's never been a recommendation that a member be replaced that I've seen. This leads to members staying on the boards and communities for as long as they want. There's no way for the citizens of Louisville to directly remove these members from their positions, so term limits, in my opinion, need to be kept. This board was initially formed with term limits in place, so I would ask that the council respect the judgment of the previous council and keep those term limits intact. Thank you.
Also have a card here filled out, does not wish to speak, but is in opposition to term limits, and that is, or opposition to the ordinance, which is removing term limits requirements, is Kimberly McCrary. Councilman Thornhill.
Yeah, just a quick question, and this may be directed to the city manager. Doesn't council have the discretion to remove anybody on any board at any time for just cause?
Well, not for just cause, for at will. You
At
don't
will?
have to have cause. You can remove them at any point in time at will.
So these people are not there for life. We can remove them at...
Yeah, you're not hamstrung in any shape, form, or fashion from removing them unless you simply didn't want to deal with the issue of removing them.
And I believe in the past we have removed people from the boards, have we not?
It's come up a time or two.
Okay, thank you.
In fact, we've done that this year a couple of times.
That's all I got.
Okay. Councilman Watts?
As much as I may agree with some of the sentiments expressed about people staying in office too long, but at all levels of government, this is not an elected body. For bodies that are elected, there's your built-in term limit right there. Part of us are up every year. Whole Congress is up every 2 years. State legislature, same story there. As has been mentioned, they can be removed at any time, and some have been in the past. In the interest of keeping our ordinances consistent and also providing some continuity in leadership, as was mentioned, I'll be in favor of this. If you have comments, or do you want me to make a motion?
I would like to make a comment.
All right.
When you're ready.
Councilman Guarino?
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. I'm in favor of term limits. I think we're going the wrong way on this. I think there should be term limits everywhere. I would even like to see term limits on the city council. So I'll be in opposition of removing the term limits. Thank you.
Councilman Durham?
I make a motion to approve the ordinance.
We have a motion. We have a motion by Councilman Durham to approve the ordinance, a second by Councilman Thornhill.
I'll read the caption.
Before you do, though,
Sorry.
I just had a comment to make.
Sorry.
But I appreciate your help there. I really do. Just to kind of expand on what Councilman Watts is saying, each of us are up for election, and, I don't believe there's term limits on judges. I don't believe there's term limits on our state representatives. I don't believe there's term limits on our state senators or House Representatives, except to the fact that people can vote them and they have the right to vote for who they want without restricting their choice through a term limit, saying just because this person served on there, they did a great job, but they've been there too long, we just need to get somebody else up there. Maybe they're not qualified, maybe they're not going to be as good a judge, but that judge has been there 2 times, they ought to be out of there. That may not be serving the citizens correctly, so I had to adhere to what Councilman Watt says, and with that,
Well, also, Mayor, any of us elected officials who believe in limiting terms of service can lead by example. When you think you've served long enough, decide not to run again.
Exactly. Councilor?
I think you had one more.
I'm sorry? Oh, you had something? Okay.
I just wanted to just add on, agree with you that people do get voted in and out, but these boards, and they're all good people. They're all good people. It's just that the citizens don't get a chance, like the gentleman said, they don't get a chance to vote those people off. It's not that they're bad people or not, and as the mayor mentioned, we have, or the council has removed people before for whatever reason. But I do want to iterate that the people on our boards, man, we appreciate them. I encourage more citizens to apply for these boards and be a part of it. But they're good people, and they do a good job, and they donate a lot of their time. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilor?
Okay, this is an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Louisville, Texas, amending ordinance number 2747-12-2001 by removing term limits, providing for a repealer, providing for severability, providing an effective date, and declaring an emergency.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries 3-1.
Okay, we will have to bring that back 2 more times for reading.
All right, thank you, Councilor. Okay, at this time, we're going to go back to item 4, and then we will do item 6. I will be abstaining from both item 4 and item 6. I'll be abstaining from item 4 because I am a charter member of Creekwood Christian Church, whom the applicant is wanting to purchase some facilities from them, and so my church would benefit financially from this, so I've not had any conversations with them about it or anything. I've had abstained from everything. I will continue to abstain. Of course, they're proposing to do this in this ordinance. And then item 6 is I do business with the Huffines family, and so I will be abstaining from those two deals. And Mayor Pro Tem Durham, if you will conduct, please, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, we'll go back to item number 4, consideration of a request for 3 variances to the Louisville City Code, Section 6-54, Section 107, temporary structures and uses, Section 6-103, access management policy, and Section 6-144, screening wall, regarding an engineering site plan for 2 temporary buildings for classroom use to be located at 1165 Round Grove Road, as requested by Kyle Hogue of G&A Consultants, representing the owner. Administrative comments. The Parkway Bible Church desires to locate 2 temporary classrooms on the existing church property located at 1165 Round Grove Road. An engineering site plan has been submitted and is currently under review by staff. The additional square footage triggers an engineering site plan and additional general development ordinance requirements. The City of Louisville Building Code does not allow portable buildings to be placed in the city for a purpose of this type, other than on LISD property. The church is requesting 3 variances. A, to place the temporary classrooms for a period of 8 to 10 years. B, to waive the required deceleration lane and associated right-of-way dedication. And C, to waive the screening wall requirement. Recommendation that the City Council consider the request for variances, provided that the temporary classrooms be removed in 10 years or until such time prior should the church build a new building on or addition. I do have a card here from Kyle Hogue, who is available for questions. I don't have any other cards on this.
I do have a question about the length of time, the 8 to 10 years, and why. So is Kyle representing the church?
Yes. Mr. Hogue? I believe you're with G&A?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and if you get name and address for the record.
Yes, sir. Yes, my name is Kyle Hogan with G&A Consultants, 111 Hillside Drive. At this time, I'm just going to introduce Mr. Connell with Parkway. I'll be available for any technical questions you have, but as far as the church's plans, Mr. Steve Connell's here that can speak to those.
Yes, sir. If you'd give your name and address for the record.
Steve Connell, 6700 Lakeview Lane, Flower Mound, Texas. The question, I believe, was about 8 to 10 years. With an investment of the magnitude that we're making for these buildings, we really feel we need this time frame to recoup. If we were to grow at a fast pace and be able to build sooner, we definitely would. But it's like a chicken and the egg. You got to have the membership to build, or you got to have the buildings to grow. So,
okay, I understand the spot you're in. My church that I attend is in the exact same. We're adding education space right now because we're busting at the seams classroom-wise, and it's not a great economic environment to be taking on building projects and asking your members to up their contributions and all that. I understand that. I'm just a little concerned about 8 to 10 years having those out there. I want to have a little faith, brother. You'll grow. People economy will come back. They'll fill the collection plate, and you'll have plenty of money to build those things. I'm okay with the variance. I'm not sure I'm comfortable with 8 to 10 years. We might. But if we did a shorter length of time, you could always come back and ask for it to be renewed again. And I understand these are basically going to be like behind your existing building, so that they're really not visible from the road.
That's correct. They won't be visible really from the road unless you're really looking for them. Our current facility is a metal building basically with a stucco facade. These trailers or modulars will have a stucco facade as well. So, I mean, they're going to look just like a permanent building.
That was really all that I had. Unless somebody else has a question.
How old are these current the buildings that you're, in other words, the concern was 10 years. Well, are these buildings already 10 years old, and they're going to be 20 years old?
I don't recall getting an answer from Creekwood on how old they are. For some reason, 8 years is coming to mind, but that may be...
How many?
8.
They're already 8 years old?
Yeah, I honestly don't know, but for some reason, 8 years is coming to mind.
Are they metal, or?
They have a stucco facade on them, real stucco.
So will stucco last 18 years?
Well, it can, sure, if it's installed correctly and maintained correctly.
Our current facility, I believe, is over 15. And
Regular maintenance.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have. Okay. Councilman Verena?
Man, I'm glad to see a church is growing. And I hope you quickly decide to go to a permanent building, on there, but I'll be in favor of this, for that.
thank you, sir.
Okay. Chair will entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the variance in the ordinance.
I'll second that. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Now to item 6, consideration of conveyance of certain property and acceptance of deed of certain property, dedication of easements and covenants and related matters necessary to effectuate the Hebron 121 Station Development Agreement dated October 5, 2009. Consideration of a resolution approving the conveyance and acceptance of certain properties and authorization for the city manager to execute all necessary documents related thereto. Administrative comments. As part of the creation of TERS number 2, the approved project plan and the development agreement for Hebron 121 Station project, certain properties were designated to be exchanged between the city and Riverside DPH LP Huffines Communities. Riverside DPH is ready to complete this exchange in order to start the construction. The city will receive 112.5 acres and will convey 22.6 acres to Riverside as shown on the attached exhibits. Since much development is anticipated after the exchange of these properties, including extensive water, sanitary, sewer, storm drainage improvements, and floodplain reclamation to fully develop the site, the city and Riverside have agreed to a declaration of easements and covenants in order to allow the improvements to take place on their respective properties. The recommendation is that the City Council approve the conveyance and acceptance of certain properties and all related items as set forth in the caption above. Councilman Thornhill?
Thank you. I don't have any issues on this item, and I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve from Councilman Thornhill and a second by Councilman Watts. Is it an ordinance? Conveyance? Okay. No ordinance. Have a motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance passes. Motion passes. Councilman Ugert? Mayor Ugert? You demoted a little bit. Sorry about that.
Demoted?
Well,
You didn't get the vote.
Can't help it. He's been on here a long time.
Yeah, yes. You too.
That's true. I'm going to have to get term limited off.
There you go. We've got another supporter.
Okay.
Item number 7, consideration of a signed relocation agreement and lease agreements with Santa Fe Realty Incorporated to relocate 2 signs within proposed right-of-way of I-35 and authorization for the city manager to execute all necessary documents related thereto. Santa Fe Realty, Inc. owned 2 existing signs adjacent to the current right-of-way of I-35. These signs are projected to be within the future right-of-way of I-35 and thus subject to relocation. Staff has been working with Santa Fe Realty, Inc. to allow the removal and relocation of the 2 existing signs in accordance with a relocation agreement and lease agreements to utilize advertising on the subject signs. Recommendation of staff is that the council approve the sign relocation agreement and all related items as set forth in the caption above. I have one card filled out here by O'Neill Gary. If you'd like, you're here available for questions, right, sir? Yes. Okay, sir. Councilman Thornhill.
Okay, so my understanding on this request is the relocation of the 2 signs, but it also, I think, entails some other items on the signs. Is that correct, City Manager?
Well, it entails creating, the new signs will be digital on one side. Each sign will have digital advertising on one side. The other side will be a static display. And the owner is going to grant the city free utilization of that digital signage in certain amounts that are specified within the agreement.
And do we have any ordinance that governs digital signs?
We do. The agreement involves the owner complying with all of those ordinances, with the exception of the billboard requirement, which you're basically waiving by allowing him to relocate it. But in terms of compliance with the rest of the requirements of the sign ordinance as it relates to digital signs, you have to comply with that.
He has complied. Okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
Councilman Watts?
Unless anybody else has questions, move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion to approve by Councilman Watt, a second by Councilman Grena. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 8 is consideration of direction to staff related to proposed placement and installation of Slicker Shy statue at City Hall. Consideration of approval of a revised sculpture consignment in agreement with Sculpture Works Incorporated and authorization for the city manager to execute all necessary documents related thereto. In February 2009, a consignment agreement was reached with Sculpture Works to display an original bronze sculpture by artist Herb Bignery. Hope I said that right. Original plans for placement and installation were deemed unsuitable, so the statue has remained at the Kelly Operations Center while other options were considered. At this time, Old Town Business Association has solicited donations toward the installation and is asking the city to move forward with the project at City Hall. Staff is seeking direction from council on this project. The recommendation of staff is that council provide direction to staff related to the placement and installation of Slicker Shy, approved a revised sculpture consignment in agreement, and authorized the city manager to execute all necessary documents related thereto. I do have 2 cards here filled out. Does not wish to speak, but is here for questions, is Amanda Ferguson, representing, she's with the Old Town Business Association, and Tom Atchison, and both of them are in support of this item and are here to answer any questions if you have of them. Councilman Watts?
Thank you, Mayor. I believe, based on the workshop, that the proposed site now, since the original site turned out wouldn't work, would be just over here east of the building, on the grassy area right over here. So we have a place that's been selected, and OTBA has done a good job and got some folks to help out with the installation. I think that's as good a spot as any, and I've read the proposed consignment agreement, and I think it covers everything that staff had anticipated. So I would be in favor of giving direction to move forward with that location that's been selected. But I won't make a motion unless anybody else has questions or comments.
You are making a motion?
I said I'll wait to make a motion.
Oh, okay. Councilman Grena?
No comments. I know it's not going to cost the city any cash, and I think it'll be a nice thing, and I appreciate OTBA for making it happen.
Councilman Durham?
Nothing else, Mayor.
Entertain a motion.
I will make my former comments in the form of a motion, which is direct staff to execute the agreement and place the statue to the east, the site selected to the east of City Hall.
Can I just make a comment real quick?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. I apologize, David. I thought I started.
Right now, it doesn't really matter what I'm thinking, but I'm not against art, especially this art. I think it looks real pretty. The only thing I'm having a little trouble, and I've had all along, I guess, is 20 feet tall. That's like a 2-story building out there. He didn't bring them in a little shorter sizes, does he? Or can we get them? That's it right there. Huh?
Well, take a couple of feet off the horse.
Yeah, cut his legs off.
This proposal's for that horse. I'm sure there's others he has if you wanted to.
Okay, and
if you wanted to pay to buy one, to buy a sculpture, to.
No, I think
I'm sure he could come up with one that would be much.
I love sculpturing, and I think it looks pretty. I kind of like to see it out at DCTA's train stations where people coming in maybe, or out at Railroad Park. But I just had a hard time swallowing the height of it, not so much the sculpture piece of it. So that's all my comment.
Councilman Cornell, I'm so sorry. I was thinking I started with you, but I realized I didn't. So
no, everybody's been starting with me tonight. So I'm glad you started somewhere else.
All right. We do have a motion to approve as recommended, and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 9 is acknowledgment of receipt of the fiscal year 2010-2011 proposed budget and consideration of public hearings for the budget and the proposed tax rate. The proposed budget for fiscal year 2010-2011 has been prepared and submitted in accordance with Section 9.02 of the City Charter. A workshop session is scheduled for August 7th at 8:30 a.m. The workshop will take place in the community room of the Municipal Annex. The City Council is required to set a time and place for a public hearing on the budget when submitted. The date must be at least 15 days after the budget is filed with the City Secretary and prior to tax levy being set. Staff recommends setting the date for August 23rd at a special called City Council meeting. If the proposed budget exceeds the lower of either the rollback or effective tax rate, a second public hearing is required. Staff recommends setting the date for this public hearing for September 13 at a regularly scheduled council meeting. Staff asks that the council acknowledge receipt of the fiscal year 2010-2011 proposed budget and consider public hearings for the budget and proposed tax rate. And those dates, which I referenced earlier, have already been established by council. So we just need a acknowledgement of receipt and of those dates for the meetings. Councilman Grena?
No comments unless anybody else has any comments. I'll make a motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve by Councilman Grena.
Second.
And a second by Councilman Watts. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Reports. Mika. Chief, how's the Olympics going? I so apologize I couldn't make the opening yesterday. I ended up having to be out of town and didn't get there. But
Olympics are going very well, sir. We have a lot of participants in. We've had a full day of softball and soccer along with bowling. They'll be throwing darts at the hotel later this evening, and it continues the rest of the week through Friday.
Is there any truth to the rumor that they've got the darts, the thing there, it's a picture of our city manager up there?
I cannot comment on that.
Okay. At least I didn't say chief.
That's for the Louisville participants.
Yes. Ms. Scholar. Chief? Me? Nothing? All right, everything's good. Donna? Brenda? Mr. Ferris? Mr. Backus? Councilman Durham?
Nothing, Mayor.
Councilman Grena?
Nothing, sir.
Councilman Watt?
No.
City Manager?
Yes, sir.
Councilman Thornhill? I'm not going to forget you.
You think it'd be a good idea just to, for the viewing public out there, just explain the difference between a rollback on the tax rates or the effective rate, or?
I'll let your city manager see if he can tackle that in a brief synopsis.
Yeah, in a 2 or 3 sentence.
Would it be a good thing to try to explain it? No.
Okay. All right. Well, I just know we had some viewing people.
I can try to explain it. A rollback rate is one that basically exceeds an 8% threshold that is set by the state of Texas for property taxes in 1 year compared to the prior year. And basically that threshold allows a citizen to petition for an election to roll back the tax rate to what it was the prior year. So whatever the tax rate is that the governing body sets in the future year, if it exceeds that 8% threshold in property taxes collected, then it's subject to that rollback. And I'm hoping I'm like about 95% accurate on this. I'm pretty sure I am, but we'll be dealing with that shortly. The effective rate for O&M, there's different effective rates. There's an effective rate for your O&M revenues. There's an effective rate for your overall revenues. But generally, effective rate for your O&M revenues is that rate which brings in the same amount of tax dollars in the next budget year as you set in the prior year. So in other words, it's a no tax increase budget. Even though the rate might be higher or might be lower, depending on what the tax base does, that effective rate is designed to produce the same amount of tax revenue from the property tax in 1 year as the prior year, accounting for all other variables associated with the tax base, including new growth. So that's my nutshell description.
That was more than
Very good. Thank you. That's it.
Counselor?
Yes, I'd like to give a very brief discussion regarding the Voting Rights Act, but I'll pass until next time.
Caught me off guard.
We can only hope it is as succinct as the description of the effective rate.
Spoken like a short timer.
That was great. Thank you. Julie? A couple of things I have. First, I do want to say thank you to the CDBG committee. That, I think all the council will agree, that is probably the most difficult committee to serve on. And while our backup was 50-something pages, they have probably over 1,000 pages that they had to go through. And it's the most, it requires more due diligence in reading and preparation than any other of the committees and boards and commissions that we have, I think, simply because the amount of material they do have to go through, and they do do their best to make recommendations they feel are fair and proper to all of our citizens. And this is a board and committee of citizens that are appointed, and we do appreciate all the time and effort they go through. I know it's not an easy job, but I think they do an excellent job, and I want to thank them for that. The other thing I wanted to mention is we had an event here out on Lake Louisville this weekend called Tournament of Heroes. It was actually the third annual event, Tournament of Heroes event, and it was just truly extraordinarily well done. It was coordinated through our city staff efforts. The fire department was out there and did a wonderful job with all the stuff, providing everything in case these people had suffered any kind of heat problems or anything. They also provided our Drum and Pipe Corps was out there performing, and our police department worked also with them, and so did the city of Frisco. I want to give them accommodation. And what this is all about, Tournament of Heroes, it's honoring our veterans. It's honoring, actually it works with an organization called Wounded Warriors, and a couple other organizations also, and you'll hear more about them later. But they did actually a deal where they had 30 or 40-something professional bass fishermen come in here with their boats, several different sponsors and big-time sponsors that came in, provided professional bass fishermen for these ladies and gentlemen of our military service who have all been wounded in some way or another in military service throughout the years. It was such a heartwarming event to see these people recognized and to see these people feel like that they had not been forgotten and that we did still remember them and we did care about them. We had everything from our Commissioner, Bobby Mitchell, opened it up with the prayer. Like I said, we had our pipe and drum corps was out there performing, did a wonderful job. We had a rear admiral that's been in the service, military service. He's still an active rear admiral. I've been in the military for 47 years. He was out there and did a swearing in on a big yacht out there they had positioned out there. He did a swearing in of 50 civilians who then at that moment became part of our military service program. Every military organization that we have in the country was represented out there, and it was a tremendous event. Then after the swearing of the oath, we had a flyover from a huge naval plane. I don't know what it was, but it was a very impressive flyover that they did. Then they took them out fishing all day. They had a tournament. They came in about 2 o'clock, and they lined them up, and this is probably the neatest thing I saw. My wife and I went down there and sat on I-35, and we weren't sure. I knew the route, because our route was actually it was out at Pier 121, and it was from, they jumped on 121 tollway and jumped on it, then they came down and went down 35 all the way to Market Hall. The key thing was it was a parade, and it was an awesome parade. It began with probably, and I will say this, Chief coordinated it with City of Dallas, and City of Dallas provided all the police officers, and they probably had at least 50, maybe 75 motorcyclists. I don't know how many police cars. Then they had a group of young men and women that are Vietnam veterans that I can't remember their name, but it's something Guard, I can't remember, and they were there, and they led the parade. There was about 100 of them on motorcycles, and then you had these veterans that were going down the freeway, being pulled by pickup trucks, and then they were in their boats, and they were going down 121, I-35, and you also had Corvette Club was out there with them. The neat thing was they shut down those freeways, literally shut them down in honor of these men and women. And it was just tremendous to see 121 completely closed off, and I-35, my wife and I, she said, we're going to get killed out here, we're going to get killed out here. I said, well, we'll be all right. God take care of us. And all of a sudden, Dallas police got there and they stopped the traffic on I-35 just north of about the mall, just north of where the 121 turns into 35 there. And it was awesome to see that backup. We might have got a few calls. Chief said we might have got a few calls in, but I think if those people had known the reason and known that we were there to honor these veterans. And it was really tremendous to hear some of these stories that these veterans told about their lives, and their family tell about how their lives have been changed because we sent them to war. And so it was a tremendous thing we did these people. They took them down to Market Hall. They had a weigh-in just like a regular Bass Pro tournament or something, and it was just tremendous and awesome. They had all kinds of organizations. They fed them. They kept them up. Hawaiian Falls there in the colony provided a place for their family to go while they were out fishing. The city of Frisco, like I said, they put up 100 rooms for them to spend the night in. So it was really a tremendous effort, and it was really something. It expanded this year by about 400%, the participants, and we probably had, I'd say, 800 or 900 people out there. We had a flotilla of 45 boats that had a line for the boats to go through as they took out fishing. It was really tremendous, and we hope next year to make it even better. So I'll bring about a little bit more back to you later about it, but if you hear anything about it, I highly recommend you supporting this Tournament of Heroes. It truly is the heroes in the United States. With that, I'll recommend that in accordance with Section 551.072, property acquisition, Section 551.074, appointment of city attorney, and Section 551.087, deliberation regarding economic development negotiations, will convene into executive session. Tell Donna not to leave.
Donna.
Leave. I'm sorry, Rudy. You can do it from down there, don't you, Rudy? Call us back into session, regular session. Is there any action to be taken, council?
No, sir.
Move to adjourn.
Have a motion to adjourn by Councilman Watts, second by Councilman Guerrero. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
You missed the whole show.
We're done. You go.